Good morning. Welcome to Horizon Unitarian Universalist Church. I'm Deb Freeman, Circle Coordinator for Justice and Faith Connections. This morning, we welcome guest speaker Reverend Aaron J. Walter. Reverend Aaron is an activist and musician based in Austin, Texas, where she is the affiliated community minister for her Wildflower UU Church and a board member of the Texas Unitarian Universalist Justice Ministry. You can find out more about her music and ministry at aaronwalter.com, ERINWALTER.com. This week's One Thing You Can Do. Make a monetary donation to MetroCrest services as part of Horizon's July Share the Plate. MetroCrest can make your donations go farther by purchasing items through the North Texas Food Bank. You can donate via the Horizon UU website by putting MetroCrest in the additional information space or by mailing a check to Horizon and putting MetroCrest on the memo line.
Good morning. It is such a joy to be with you, even virtually. Thank you for the opportunity to connect across the miles and fill our spiritual cups together. Our opening words this morning come from the Unitarian Universalist minister Shuma Chakravarti from one of my all-time favorite books, A Great Gift to Our Faith, Voices from the Margins, edited by Jacque James and Mark Morrison Reed, an anthology of meditations. This piece, which I cherish so, is called God's Tears. I sometimes think the stars are God's tears. Even God's sorrow creates sources of great illumination, joy, and beauty through these celestial bodies. At our very best, we human beings are microcosms, containing within us sparks of divinity. Sometimes I think my own heart, shattered by sorrows, is like a cascade of diamonds. Each piece is valuable and radiant, a source of joy and illumination to beings unknown and known to me, as the stars are a source of strength and radiance to me, although I am unknown to them. May it be so. May we be sources of strength and radiance to each other as microcosms of the divine. Let us worship.
We light the chalice with the words of our affirmation. Love is the doctrine of our church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity in harmony with the earth, thus to be covenant together.
Hello, UU family. I'm going to sing a song with you called Shine on Me. It's an amazing spiritual that anybody can sing. And in these days when the things that we're dealing with, the feeling separate and all of that, and things seem so hard, this is one of those songs that you just throw your head back, put it in your medicine kit. All you have to do is ask. And here's how it goes. Shine on me, oh shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me, oh shine on me, yes, shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me. Lift me up, oh, lift me up, oh, lift me up, yes, lift me up. Let the light from the lighthouse lift me up. Oh, hold me close, yes, hold me close. Let the light from the lighthouse hold me close, yes, hold me close, oh, hold me close. Let the light from the lighthouse, please, hold me close. Oh, shine on me, yes, shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me. Oh, shine on me. Yes, shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on all you have to do is just ask. The light is always there. Always. Always. Love you.
Will you join me now to acknowledge a time of joys and sorrows, as well as prayer and meditation? Before we do that, I want to acknowledge I'm in a different place. I look different than I do in the other videos in this service. There's a reason for that. I'm home in Texas in this moment. I'm recording these prayers and these thoughts for you close to the time of the service. We like to wait to find out what prayers, what joys, what sorrows are going to happen in the time before the service. Before, I was in Colorado on vacation. And so I suppose I could have crammed to record everything at the last minute so that everything matched. But that's not the life that I want to live, and that's not what I want to model in my ministry. What we've learned this year, thank goodness, is that church can be anywhere, and it doesn't have to be perfect, and it can look a lot of different ways. So first of all, my joy is for that. For the opportunity to be of service in different ways, in different places, and for trusting in you that you will be able to enjoy and appreciate and feel the spirit of things that don't necessarily match, but that bring a little sparkle. This is my shed in Austin, Texas. I like to call it my sparkle shed. So I send you those vibes in this time of prayer and meditation. The congregation also shares its joy that a new interim minister is on the way, Meredith Barber. How exciting, and blessings on that ministry. I share a sorrow that here in Austin, we are now in stage 4 of COVID, meaning that things are getting worse. Numbers are rising, people are in the hospital, and I pray for all of us, our health, our safety, for the recovery of those who are sick right now, for the grief and mourning of those like myself who have lost a loved one to COVID. There are so many. And I pray for the resilience and the strength that we all may adapt in this time. With that in mind, my meditation for you today is something called affirmations as we move into distance learning. Now, I used to share it with congregations well over a year ago. I found it came to me through a Facebook group for early childhood educators, but I think that these affirmations, quote, as we move into distance learning, actually apply for all of us because we are all still learning. Even at about a year and a half of pandemic, we are all still learning how to move at a distance and how to be in this different time. So will you take a breath with me? These affirmations are for you to take into your heart in whatever way they may serve where you are now. The best I can do is my best. How human to feel nervous about trying something new. I will give myself the same grace I give others. I may not be able to control this situation, but I can have control over my attitude. Now, let me interject here and say, I think that's aspirational. Sometimes it's hard even to control our attitudes, but much of ministry is aspirational. So there you go. Here's some more affirmations. This is only temporary. I can do difficult things. Can you repeat that? Can you say that to yourself? I can do difficult things. We can do difficult things, and we have been doing them. I don't have to have it all figured out to move forward. Did you hear that? Let's say it like we. We don't have to have it all figured out to move forward. And lastly, one of my favorites, I will make mistakes, and that is okay. Will you say that last one with me too? I will make mistakes, and that is okay. May we be surrounded in love, in acceptance, in grace, in healing, by the Spirit of life, by the great mystery of all. Blessed be. What I want to do is tell you a little bit more about my home here in Austin, which you're about to see. It is a bit of a messy place. Now, in the Time for All Ages, I'm talking to everyone of all ages. If you're used to coming forward in the sanctuary, imagine yourself coming forward, okay? And what I want to say, and this kind of goes along with this idea that we're showing up in different ways and we don't have to match, we are going to watch together what I like to call an anthem for all ages after this. It's a song that I wrote for my band, Parker Woodland. I wrote it in 2018, and it's called The World's on Fire, and We Still Fall in Love. Not only is it the anthem for this service, it's basically become the anthem of my life, of my band, of my ministry. The world's on fire, and we still fall in love. What does that mean? It means that we acknowledge the pain, the struggle, the literal fires of our world, and we hold love, beauty, acceptance, art, music very high as well. And we use joy practices to get through it. So we're going to be talking about that in the sermon today too, but I'm going to give you a preview of this idea in our Time for All Ages. So you're going to watch a video soon of this song. It's a music video that my band and I made with our whole community. And so I have some spiritual questions for you to consider while you watch the video. Number one, this is a video, little preview, little teaser of a party in my home. It's the last party, the last gathering I had of my community before COVID struck. This was in February of 2020. So you're going to see my friends, my kids, our neighborhood. And I want you to think about when you watch it, if you had made a video of the last and best party of your life before a disaster, before a pandemic, who would you want in that video? What would your community look like? What would be the equivalent video of your friends and family having so much fun in your special place? So imagine that if it were your video, who'd be there? What would it look like? And secondly, along the lines of what would it look like, what would be the fun, the joy practices that you had on display in this video? When you watch it, you're going to see so many joy practices. You can try to count them if you want, but I think you might need more than your hands. You might need your toes. I'll give you a sneak preview. You're going to see wigs, trampoline, pancakes, dancing, bubbles, so much fun. And sometimes it's the little things. It doesn't take much to blow bubbles. It doesn't take much to make a pancake and share it with a friend. A hug, there's hugs in this video. So think about what are some of the little things, the little joy practices that you would want to capture and never let go of in your video of this wonderful moment in time. Because I didn't know when we made it that it was the last time we'd get together. And now I'm so thankful to have it as a reminder of what community feels like, of the joy of being together, and the little things that help have fun. All year, I've been doing things like wearing wigs on occasion or blowing bubbles, dancing to try to get through this hard time. So this video has been a good reminder for me. And then last but not least, before you watch it, I want to tell you this. The day that we shot it, I remember reaching out to my friend Jazz Mills, who directed it, and asking her, Jazz, how much do I need to clean my messy house before people come over to shoot this video? And she said, don't clean at all. She said, it needs to look alive. It needs to look lived in. Don't clean up at all. It needs to look like somebody was having a party. And it was such a relief to not have to clean up. What a gift to get to be just the way I was, for my home to be just the way it was, and that be good enough. And so I want you to remember that you are good enough, that showing up just the way you are is perfect. You don't have to fix anything to be here at church, no matter what age you are. Come as you are, and I'm so glad you're here. So welcome to my home in Austin, Texas, and I invite you to sing along, dance along. It's an easy song to kind of catch on to the chorus. The world's on fire, and we still fall in love. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy this anthem.
It's a hard time to look for hope when the truth can't feel like a joke or worse. They tell
Now we come to the practice of giving. We are grateful for your gifts to the church and to our July Share the Plate partner, MetroCrest Services. Please send your check to the church with MetroCrest on the memo line or donate online at horizonuu.org. Thank you for your gifts in support of the mission and ministry of our church and of MetroCrest Services. Horizon and MetroCrest formed a partnership many years ago. For several decades, we have provided money, goods, and volunteer hours to MetroCrest. Today, we welcome Tracy Eubanks, CEO of MetroCrest Services, for a very special announcement.
Hello, I'm Tracy Eubanks. I'm the CEO at MetroCrest Services, and this is our 50th anniversary. This past year, as we prepared for this event, we studied our history, ran across the names of a couple people that really stood out as making a huge impact on our community for many, many years, for decades, one of which you know quite well. Many people don't know in 1971, MetroCrest Services started as the Truth House, a nonprofit assisting teenagers in our community. In the 80s, we opened our first food pantry and we started utilizing volunteers. And that's where we met your very own Lucy Lockwood. Lucy has volunteered with us now for decades. Once she retired, she volunteered a lot in the food pantry. She even helped with the annual crop walk. She's that friendly face you always see at all of our events. We're so fortunate to have Lucy. So we want to do something special for Lucy. And so we're going to honor Lucy with the Lifetime Achievement Award. So Lucy, congratulations. We're going to honor you at our annual Golden Gala on October 30th. We know that you're celebrating your 100 years, and we're very humbled to be a part of that opportunity. We here at MetroCrest Services really appreciate all that you've done. We look forward to honoring you with a Lifetime Achievement Award. And all of us at MetroCrest Services want to say, Lucy Lockwood, you rock. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Reverend Erin Walter, and it is such a joy to be with you, even virtually. Would you take a breath with me as we begin this next chapter of our sacred time together? Thank you for being here today. I'd like to start with a poem from Mandy McGlynn, a queer Jewish spiritual director and a friend, a fellow classmate from Meadville Lombard Theological School, our Unitarian Universalist Seminary in Chicago. Mandy shared this poem and it spoke to my heart so deeply. I am the daughter of Miriam. She taught me how to dance over my freedom without stepping on the bodies of my would-be captors. She taught me to walk headlong into impossible waters, to lead the crowd through the narrow place, with utter faith that it will hold long enough for us to get free. She taught me how to tie my sandals for a long, unknown journey. And most of all, she taught me, by doing more than telling, how to quietly pack tambourines. In the terrifying dark of night, when we barely have space to carry sufficient food, water, and blankets to last us through the miles ahead. She taught me that it's not enough to scrape by and survive. We must also be willing and prepared to dance with joy when liberation arrives. We must believe so deeply in our souls, in the arrival of that time, that we place these timbrels in our packs and pray to the Holy One to send us food. The poetry of Mandy McGlynn. I have long treasured the piece of biblical scripture in Exodus that Mandy McGlynn is drawing from in this incredible poem. It is a story, a tiny, tiny piece of a very, very hard story that lifts up joy, dancing, and music. Now, normally, I read that piece from the Poverty and Justice Bible. I heard about the Poverty and Justice Bible. I heard that it was the edition that the Reverend Dr. William Barber used. He's a great racial justice advocate in this country. And so as a Unitarian Universalist, a lifelong UU who grew up with very little Bible, I thought to myself, that's the Bible I'm going to get. And I did, and was so thrilled to find that it comes already highlighted with sections all about or that relate to issues of poverty and justice. And I know that as Unitarian Universalists, those are important to you. So if you are someone like me, who maybe didn't grow up with a lot of Bible or experience the Bible in a painful way, but want to reconnect to the UU connections therein in our work for justice, or like me, if you are someone seeking to bring our values into the wider community and want to connect with people of all different faiths, and so want to improve your religious literacy, biblical literacy, the Poverty and Justice Bible, I recommend it to you. I'm not holding it in my hand today because I'm on retreat in Colorado and I didn't bring it with me, but there's a Bible pretty much everywhere you go, and especially at a YMCA camp, and that's where I am. My family's been going to the YMCA of the Rockies since the 1950s, and it's a spiritual practice for us and a joy to be back here for the first time in a couple of years because of COVID-19 cautions last year. But so I want to share with you a piece of that scripture that led to Mandy's poem, and I'll be sharing it from the Gideon's version, and then I'm going to talk about what's different in the Poverty and Justice Bible version and why I love it so much. Now, Exodus. The feminist scholar Carol Myers has referred to Exodus as possibly the most important book of the Bible. And you may be familiar with this story. I want to invite you to connect with it in the ways that feel authentic and nourishing to you. The Exodus story, of course, the Israelites are on the long, hard journey from slavery to the Promised Land. So perhaps this story touches you in a place because your ancestors were enslaved. Perhaps your ancestors enslaved others. Perhaps it's some of both. Perhaps you are connected in a personal way to the prison industrial complex and the modern variations of slavery in our nation today. I share a piece of Exodus knowing that slavery continues, and therefore this is a very deep piece that may touch us in tender places. In Exodus chapter 15, verse 19, it says, "The Israelites had walked through on dry ground in the midst of the sea. Then Miriam, the prophetess, the sister of Aaron, took a tambourine in her hand, and all the women went out after her with tambourines and dancing. And Miriam sang to them." I'll tell you why this piece means so much to me in a minute. But what I want to tell you is that in the Poverty and Justice Bible, it says, instead of Miriam the prophetess, took a tambourine in her hand. It says, Miriam was a prophet, so she took a tambourine and led the other women out to sing and to dance. And why that is so significant to me, what I want to share with you as Unitarian Universalists is that word so. Miriam was a prophet, so she took her tambourine and led the other women out to sing and to dance in the desert. That word so, 2 letters, but it makes such a big difference. Not Miriam was a prophet or Miriam was a prophet, oh, and by the way, she took a tambourine. Not Miriam was a prophet and they tolerated her tambourine for just a minute, but Miriam was a prophet, so she took her tambourine. Music and dance, gathering people in joy, in celebration, was a crucial factor of her being a prophet. She did those things because she was a prophet, not just because she wanted to sing and to dance, but because singing and dancing, joy, music, the arts are prophetic. So for us as Unitarian Universalists in this time, a time of transition, a time of fear, a time also of joy, of people coming back together as safely as they can, maybe little by little, but also a time of people still struggling, still dying for many reasons. We Unitarian Universalists have prophetic voices, every single one of us. And like Miriam, I hope that we will bring joy in our message to the world. In the message that we have beloved community that is for all. We have beloved community that will welcome you in and hold you and take care of you, share your joy, and help bear your burdens. When that verse came to me as a woman in ministry, something that not every faith tradition even has to this day, something that is not to be taken for granted. When that verse came to me as a musician, you see my guitar, there's a ukulele back there. When that verse came to me, I felt so welcomed in. And what I hope for each of you is that you find that welcome, that invitation where the part of you that is most joyous can be celebrated in our faith. I have something in my eye, and I'm not going to pretend that I don't. I'm going to deal with that for a second. Okay. Listen to your body. So, not only did Miriam bring this tambourine, but what I love that Mandy lifted up is the care that it took to pack it silently in this story in the night as they are escaping their captors. The commitment to joy, to hope. How deep, how faithful. The trust that that spot that might have held one more piece of food would be provided for by the divine, by the universe, by what is to come from the community. I ask you to think about what joy means in your life. What would be your tambourine? Your instrument of joy, your instrument of liberation and inclusion. And are you bringing it to your Unitarian Universalist communities and sharing it? We all need to feel seen in our faith communities. So if there is a part of you that is not feeling seen in your faith community, I know you will not be alone if you bring that forward. If you share, someone else will feel seen and included too. I want to share with you another quote that's been close to my heart lately. It comes from the Indian author and activist Arundhati Roy. In this piece on pandemics as a portal, Roy writes, historically, pandemics have forced humans to break with the past and imagine their world anew. This one is no different. It is a portal, a gateway between one world and the next. We can choose to walk through it dragging the carcasses of our prejudice and hatred, our avarice, our databanks and dead ideas, our dead rivers and smoky skies behind us. Or we can walk through lightly, with little luggage, ready to imagine another world and ready to fight for it. I love that. Ready to imagine another world and ready to fight for it. That's what the Israelites were doing in Exodus. And that phrase, little luggage, I have been carrying in my spiritual medicine kit for the last year and a half, ever since I read that piece. Little luggage. The pandemic as a portal. So what are you going to pack in this journey toward building the world we dream about? What parts of yourself are essential and must come along? What parts of this faith community have you learned more than ever in the past pandemic months and years you can't live without? And what pieces might we let go of to make more room for joy? I can tell you I'm certainly bringing music and dance through the portal with me, like Miriam, like the Israelites. I used to teach dance, Zumba for body and spirit in my full-time job as the Director of Community Engagement and Social Responsibility for the YMCA of Austin. I was also their interfaith chaplain, so having some of that Bible literacy and comfort really helped me in that interfaith job. But I loved teaching Zumba at the Y. It was my joy practice, my spiritual practice. I always chose the music and the dance moves to embody my values and to lift people up. And then when the pandemic happened, I couldn't do that anymore for two reasons. One, of course, we couldn't gather to dance and sweat and breathe heavily, joyfully together. It wasn't safe. And then secondly, after a few months, I was one of many, many people at the YMCA whose job was eliminated due to loss of COVID funds. And so that was a hard thing. Not only to lose church in person, to lose live music in person, I'm a musician as well, but to lose that dance in person. But I was determined to keep it by my side, even in that time of journey between the hardest and the promised land, during the time in the desert, in the wilderness. So I have been teaching Zoom Zumba classes over, online every Friday, all this time. And I've just loved it. As much as I miss dancing in person, I get to connect with UUs and friends all around the world to dance together. And so that's something that I was determined to bring through the portal with me. I know a lot of us have picked up maybe new spiritual practices that we might want to keep, whether it's having a little bit more peaceful downtime, a little more time with our closest folks, not trying to spread ourselves so thin with so many activities. Perhaps, like me, you got a pandemic pet. We got our first dog, and so that's been an incredible joy, a mixture of peace and being forced to go outside as a family and get some exercise and fresh air. So I definitely want to bring that practice through the portal with me and leave behind maybe a little bit of the screen time if I can help it. But in the meantime, I just give thanks that it's kept me connected to people like you. So I really want us to be intentional. That is a big part about what being people of faith is, that we don't just float through life. We don't just sleepwalk through these opportunities for growth and change. We have an opportunity every day of our lives, but maybe now more than ever, to make choices about how we live. And so my prayer for you in this time is that you put your deepest values, your Unitarian Universalist sources and principles and spirit into that medicine kit, to that spiritual piece of little luggage as you make decisions for what you want the rest of your life to look like. I hope that there will be dancing and music or whatever brings you joy. And I ask you to think, what is your tambourine? What is your instrument of inclusion, inviting people to dance and sing with you, whatever that really looks like? And how will you bring it to this community as a gift and a tool for liberation? Each one of us, like Miriam, has a prophetic voice. Let it be one that is filled with joy. Blessed be.
My life flows on in endless song above Earth's lamentation. I hear the real, no far off hymn that hails a new creation.
No storm can shake my inmost heart, while to that rock I'm clinging, since love prevails in heaven and earth. How can I keep from singing?
While all the tempest round me roars, I know the truth it
We extinguish this flame, but not our commitment to our mission, to welcome radically, love boldly, grow spiritually, and serve courageously. We carry this commitment in our hearts until we are together again. We do this because we envision a beloved community filled with compassion, helping all to thrive in a just world.
Friends, for our benediction, I invite you to reach out. Imagine a hand you might hold in great joy when you are with those people you love again. And if you're in the room with someone, what a joy to be together. If the other person is willing, always by invitation, always by consent, but if they are willing, may you hold hands, and may the rest of us feel the joy knowing that you are connected, that we are all, as the seventh principle of our faith states, all interconnected. Let's breathe. Spirit of life and love, our God of all names, beyond borders, languages, or any full knowing, we thank you for the mystery of this day, for waking up with gratitude for all that is good and holy surrounding us. I hold also in prayer, in hope, those who are sick, those who are struggling, grieving, holding depression or anxiety. Please, may we surround each other in love, from afar and near. I give thanks for this community and all the ways it has held together for so long. May spirits be nourished, lives be enriched. May we be instruments of love, justice, and peace. Amen. Blessed be.